Thank you very much, our viewers, and of course, warm greetings and welcome to all the followers that we have on our social media. And we do come here every week. This is Teledal. We host our guests and talk about issues of national development. We talk about issues that should move this country forward, and we talk about also things that affects the daily lives of Gambian. Of course, we do welcome guests from different backgrounds, and today we will be, of course, hosting, of course, a well-known Gambian, somebody who's, of course, spent most of his time working for Africa, working for the, of course, Africa at different angles and different portfolios, was a former Secretary General and also native of Nyamina Kudang, and somebody who went to St. Augustine High School, studied in various universities, of course, has a master's degree in development and economic, and alma mater, member of the University of John F. Kennedy in the United States, School of Governance. He served in different portfolios and has always been a development worker. Of course, today we will talk about very important things, and that would be of issues of basically national development, things that will move our country forward, things that will, of course, take us to the next level. We'll talk about, the topic today would be governance, accountability, and the future of democracy leadership in the Gambia. I am your host, Mohamed Jallo. We will be right back after this short commercial break. Thank you very much to our viewers. We may be speaking various languages, meaning from English to Mandinka or Mandinglish. And of course, for our audience and people that follow us on our social media handles, we'll be live on Twitter, and then we'll be live on Twitter, on Instagram, and other social media handles. Shortly, we will also be on Facebook. We will be talking about things that resonates and affects the livelihood of Gambians. And like I said in my introduction, we'll be talking about governance, accountability, and the future of democracy leadership in the Gambia. Today in the studios, we are so proud and honored to welcome Mr. Lare Cisse, a native of Kudang, and Gambian by nationality, but cause a Pan-Africanist from the bottom of his heart, from what he speaks to the Gambians, when he speaks to the Gambians. And of course, he will be free to speak in English. He'll be free to speak Mandinka. We also understand he has a very strong heart in support of some opposition, which he will tell us while he is having a conversation with us. The reason why we would like to affiliate him to that, because he is vibrant and he speaks truth. Your Excellency, we are proud to honor you. I mean, of course, to host you at Teledal on our fixed show. Of course, I am your nephew, and we're talking to Gambians, and we look forward to seeing what you have for us. In short, use the opportunity to introduce yourself further and also tell us where are we as Gambians, but where do we want to see us? Where do you intend to see us in the very near future?
Good. Thank you, Mohammed. I think let's be transparent. You are also a native of Kudang.
That's very true. That is certainly true.
It's an honor to be invited to this outlet. Your studio is impressive. It's really nice.
Thank you.
And you could tell you guys mean business in terms of the setup that you have here.
Thank you.
As you say, I simply go by the name Larry M. Cisse. I have had my education, as you said, in Kudang, in St. Augustine's, in the USA. Ended up going to the Harvard John F. Kennedy School of Government and all of that. And I have spent a good number of years of my professional life in the Gambian Civil Service, as well as with the United Nations Development Program, UNDP. Precisely with the UNDP, it's about 25 years. And I have served in many, many countries. Some of them crisis countries, some of them very peaceful, quiet countries. The contrast is from Eritrea, Ethiopia, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Nigeria, Swaziland, Zimbabwe, Botswana, and it goes on and on. So there is a mishmash of experiences there. Now, on the issue of our subject matter, I think we are in a threshold in as far as our own republic is concerned. Some call it crossroads. Africa, we use crossroads so many times, there are no crossroads anymore. So I call it, we are in the threshold of some major changes that need to happen in this country so that the country can be on a trajectory that can benefit all of us, not just a few who have access to power and who are connected to the corridors of power. So I'm glad to be here. I say good evening, good afternoon, good morning to your viewers around in the country and around the world. And yes, English, Mandinka, maybe even some Pular.
That will be fantastic. So, that will be absolutely fantastic. I mean, Uncle Larry, you talked about your experience, 25 years with the UNDP. Where do you see us with comparing the Gambia versus the international best practice?
Well, this is actually a very difficult question to answer. If you want to call a spade and you don't want to have biases in there, you will say we still have a long way to go. I think when we had the elections in 2016, Gambians voted for a certain amount of change and direction for the country. Unfortunately, we've lost that opportunity 2 years after that election. We lost it in 2018. We could have.
I thought in 2018 we had just got a new government in place.
Well, the new government came in place in 2017, and in 2018 those major changes took place, which actually changed the complexion of our country's democratic process. And then we had another opportunity in 2020 to come back on track with the 2020 draft constitution. No constitution is a perfect document, but that 2020 constitution, I think, had everything Gambians wanted their country to be. And I say that with a great deal of humility because they went around the country, they canvassed the views of average Gambians, and they made certain things very clear to the commission, which were reflected in the constitution. That constitution would have ushered in a new Gambia. Unfortunately, it hasn't. Now, when it was literally derailed by the National Assembly, we had no fallback position. We had to fall back on the 1997 Constitution. And that Constitution was and still is a dictator's Constitution. I think some time ago I told somebody that Constitution is in the Guinness Book of World Records for the world's most amended Constitution. I think it was amended 52 times within a short span of time. So the 2020 Constitution is gone. We are stuck with the 1997 Constitution. And then the 2024 draft was brought to the public domain. Now, that 2024 Constitution was drafted, as far as we know in the public domain, was drafted by a handful of people. Mm-hmm. And these are people who are, in terms of perception, not reality, but in terms of perception, who are close to the corridors of power. And if you read the Constitution, you compare it to the 2020 Constitution, you realize that it has provisions in it that are antithetic to good governance. Case in point, yes, there is a term limit provision there. But when it comes to accountability and transparency, that 2024 draft basically says when you appoint Larry Sisse in the cabinet or somewhere where there is a locus of responsibility, I have to declare my assets. But when I leave that position, I don't have to declare my assets.
Okay.
So for me, that proviso alone is a no-go area.
Right.
Because when you are appointing me, I came with some baggage.
Right.
Now, if you say, yes, you came with a baggage, I declare what that baggage is. And then when I leave my position, I don't declare what other baggage I'm taking out. For me, that was a no-no. We need to have a serious conversation about transparency and accountability. Public service should not be equated with getting rich quickly. Public service, the way we knew it, the way we were trained in the civil service, public service ought to be providing service to the people, especially those who need it the most. So when you are given a position, you declare your assets. When you leave, you don't declare your assets. What message does that send to our people? Then there is another opportunity to take transparency to another level, which was the Anti-Corruption Act.
But I thought that's been worked on.
Well, yes, it's been worked on. Unfortunately, it has its teething problems, as we are all seeing. The Anti-Corruption Commission was passed by the National Assembly, I think in 2023. And it took the president 1 year to sign the legislation. After he signed it, it took him another 1 year to appoint the commissioners. He appoints the commissioners, and there is a lot of public uproar about the composition of the commission.
But that was the same reason why he dragged this long, because he was trying to choose the right people.
Yeah, you can try to pick the right people for a year, but if you end up not choosing the right people, where does that take us?
Okay.
If you look at the anti-corruption commissions globally, especially in our Africa region, usually anti-corruption commissioners are men of impeccable integrity. They've done their time in the public domain for years, and they have shown that they have a backbone to support what is right. If you look at all the anti-corruption commissions, you are a journalist, just look at them and look at the composition, who is the chair, who is the commissioner and stuff. You find some very, very top-notch people as commissioners. Now, just recently, I think 2 weeks ago, one of the commissioners has been accused of something that he says he didn't do.
That's right.
Yeah, and we have to give him the benefit of the doubt to say, yes, he says he hasn't done it, but I think it is much too early to have a commissioner on the Anti-Corruption Commission whose integrity is being
I did hear about that,
questioned.
James Manga.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Sisse, this is a very important thing because you're coming from an international perspective. The Constitution of 2020 was again amended again. Now, were we saying that the 2020 draft Constitution was not allowed to fly because it had a lot of hands coming from the major opposition party, mainly the UDP?
The question is, who amended it?
The National Assembly played the role, and there was, of course, a constitutional review commission.
Yes, the National Assembly did their job in as far as vetting what goes into a piece of legislation, including the Constitution. If UDP's hands are there, it's because our National Assembly members made a contribution to the debate. But the final product is the product of the National Assembly. And these are the people's elected representatives.
And yet still it was bill.
Yes. But the majority of the National Assembly members are in the ruling party.
At the time?
At the time.
Okay. For me, I thought at the time it was more of the UDP.
No, it's not.
Okay.
The UDP's 15 MPs, the ones that remained with UDP, all voted for the 2020 constitution to go through.
Okay.
It was voted down by the ruling party. I mean, I think that is simple public knowledge out there, that it was debated. The votes on it was strictly on party lines. UDP voted, all of our MPs voted for the constitution to move ahead. The other side voted it down. Because they are the majority, we did not meet the threshold of a 2/3 majority. That's how it was thrown out. Now, these things happen in a democratic dispensation. Where we missed it is after it was voted down, a lot of people were given the impression that it can never be brought back again. And I'm saying, I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but I have done constitutional work in 3 different countries, and it's not sacrosanct. When they vote it down, it's repackaged and re-brought back. Okay. But we were given the impression here, once it was voted down by the National Assembly, it cannot...
I may be wrong, but I know that at some point, of course, Honorable Halifa Saleh had brought up a conversation where it says, did we really need a new constitution, or were we just supposed to amend the 1997 constitution before we put so much money in the constitutional review? What's your view on that?
I have a very strong view on that. I think Honorable Halifa, I respect him quite a lot. I've been looking at the man since I was in high school. But I think he missed the point. The 1997 Constitution is a dictator's constitution. No matter how you tweak it, no matter how you amend it, it will still be a dictator's constitution. Where I agree with him is the amount of money that went into doing the 2020 Constitution. But I don't think we should ever question the need for a constitution that replaces the 1997 Constitution. That shouldn't even be for debate. Now,
of course, we're reminding our viewers that they are following us at Teledal, and this is the fixed show and a weekly show that we have here, and we talk about solutions to problems. With your background, coming from the international community, I mean, working with different communities, as a matter of fact, you've also worked with the grassroots level of women development community members, which I am fully aware of.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as the Gambia is concerned, economically, how do you see the prioritization of our infrastructural development? Today, we're talking about the president going around the country, putting light into 1,000 communities. What's your view?
Again, my involvement in development goes back to my days in the civil service of the Gambia. I've worked at the Ministry of Education, and it cannot be more grassroots than that. I've worked at the Ministry of Agriculture, cannot be more grassroots than that. I've worked at the President's Office, what used to be called the National Sales Secretariat.
Sales.
Yes. So the grassroots part, I have sort of inherited.
Absolutely.
Now, you know, I know where you and I come from.
That's right.
Women are in the front of development in the community. They have a voice, a very strong voice. So that's where my background comes from. Now, going international, UNDP is the development arm of the United Nations. And most of the time when staff are recruited at the levels, professional level, they take all of these things into account. And when you are appointed, depending on the location, you do a strategic plan. Let's say they took me out of here to Eritrea. Eritrea and Ethiopia were just coming out of a war, and I was charged with doing a national recovery plan for Eritrea. Now, you do that, and you put all the structures in place, the institutional arrangement of the country, the constitution, parliament, local government election. Then they pack you and say, now you're going to Sierra Leone.
Wow.
Now, Sierra Leone also, I arrived there, I'll never forget it, August 1998. August. And the rebels walked into Freetown in December.
Wow. Wow.
So, again, it's a civil war situation. The situation was very dicey, and even personal security was an issue. We had ECOMOG soldiers guaranteeing our personal security as we move around. But the grassroots side is still there. Because when we were putting together the framework for the Lome Peace Agreement, we had to go to the grassroots to talk to people so that it's not just representative of the government and the rebels. It also had that public side to the framework document for the Lome Peace Agreement. And I recall one time I went to a place in Sierra Leone called Gambia. Gambia is where the former President Tijan Kaba comes from. And in the evening, Saj Musa showed up. He surrounded the hotel I was staying in
Wow.
and asked to see me. I went to see him. I mean, he came in, we talked. And I convinced him, I said, you know, these guns that you have, one of these days they will become silent. When they become silent, what next? So you're better off joining the conversation on how to restructure Sierra Leone the way you see it. And so we went around and captured all the views and put them in a framework document. We took it to Lome, and it culminated into the Lome Peace Agreement.
Peace agreement.
You know, same experience in Zimbabwe also. So I have a background that was more local development than international. I just happened to go international.
Right.
But given my background in Kudang, farming, you know, we all go went to the farms.
I'm just trying to drift a little bit. Of course, your experience from the grassroots is unquestionable. We know that. I'm just trying to look at the finance and the economic part at the executive level.
Yes.
Now, let's say, for example, we just looked at a recent national budget for 2026. I've also followed you. I do follow a lot of your conversations as recent as your last conversation you had at West Coast.
Yes.
And I've heard people put in comments, the country is sinking, nothing seems to work. What do we want to work that's not working?
You know, we have to go back to your original question.
Yes.
Infrastructure.
Yes.
There is nothing wrong with infrastructure. Any country that prospers, that grows, has to have a strong infrastructure to support that growth. It has to have a strong manufacturing base to support growth, economic growth. Now, the question then becomes, how do you do it?
How?
The president is very keen on infrastructure.
Roads,
lights. But the lights are from ECOWAS. That's a totally different.
I would like to dwell on that because a lot of us don't know how that came about. We know that the government is opening them, laying foundations, and
yes,
started.
This thing started in Jawara's time through the OMVG. Okay. He did his thing. Jammeh did his thing. The president is now doing his thing. It's a pool of money from the African Development Bank, from the World Bank, and from two other sources through ECOWAS. It's the West Africa grid. Okay. There are 5 electricity grids in Africa: East, West, North, South, Central, West. Ours is on the West Africa grid. Now, there is nothing wrong with lighting all these villages. The issue we have with infrastructure, not the electricity part, because that is not being funded by our tax money. Although we have a right to it because of virtue of our being members of ECOWAS. What we have a serious issue with is the roads part of the infrastructure development that we are seeing. The cost of these roads is astronomical. Now, if you take the Bata Harding.
Yes, the Battle Harding Highway.
Yeah, I said it. You see, you said you listened to.
Yes, I did.
I said it. I said we are not against infrastructure. As I said, infrastructure is an important component of overall economic development so that growth can take place. If your economy is growing and you don't have access roads to go to the marketplaces and seaports and bridges and roads, it doesn't work. What we question is the unit cost of that infrastructure, the quality of the infrastructure.
Do you have questions about these roads?
Yes, we do. And we have been very vocal about them. To say, if you take the Bata Harding stretch of roads from Airport Junction to Stinkhorn, it's, I think, 22 kilometers.
That's correct.
For a standard road like that, the unit cost per kilometer shouldn't be more than $1.2 million. Ours cost $9.7 million, according to the government itself.
Square meter, for per kilometer?
Per kilometer.
Okay. So a road exorbitant.
Yeah, a road that you are supposed to build for $22 to $25 million ends up costing you $200 million to build.
Okay. Was that due to inflation, or what do you think? What was the justification?
I think the government needs to come out and tell us. It cannot be due to just inflation. It has to also do with the phenomenon of overpricing of infrastructure. Now, let me cite something for you to put this in perspective.
Yes.
There was an OECD study on global infrastructure as a driver for economic growth. This was done, I think, back in the late 80s, early 90s. They looked at big infrastructure roads and as well as small infrastructure roads in Europe, in North America, in South America, in the Caribbean, in Africa, in Asia, and in Oceania. Conclusively, they say in every cycle of an infrastructure project, there is a high propensity for corruption.
Okay. And are you afraid that might be the reason?
Yes. Otherwise, you cannot justify a road that is supposed to be built for 1.2 million or 2 million tops. You end up spending 9 million for that.
Okay. So now looking at this, and then I know you have a very soft heart for the opposition, which is the UDP. But if you were given the opportunity to have a one-to-one with C.D. Keita, the current Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, right now, what will you tell him?
I will tell him, Mr. Minister, your roads are overly expensive. I will tell him also, Mr. Minister, you need to look at how you award contracts. I will tell him, Mr. Minister, when you award contracts, you need to have a supervising engineer. I'm sure they will say they have supervising engineers. But when you look at the quality of the roads, you begin to wonder where the supervising engineer was. Just 2 weeks ago, I was saying on Coffee Time, I was a minister on a stretch of road. He was raving and ranting on a video to say this road quality is bad. And he's responsible for that road.
This is the same minister that said this?
Yes, he's responsible for that road. Then look at the other peripheral roads. You look at the quality of those roads, the kind of drainage or no drainage systems that are built on them. Nobody builds infrastructure like that. Now, I saw, you mentioned Minister C.D. Keita. I saw him saying one time that it's a pleasure driving on Bata Harding. I agree with him totally. It's a pleasure driving on Bata Harding,
right?
But at what cost is that pleasure? That's what we are questioning. As far as the quality of that particular road is concerned, we will not know now, but time will sort that out.
Right. Now, of course, Mr. Cisse, We are so much honored to host you at Teledal on the Fix Show. We also remind our viewers that, their comments, their contributions, and their questions will be welcome at some point. But for now, today, we have Mr. Larry Mcc here in the building. Of course, he's talking about pertinent issues that affects the daily life of each Gambian. What is your view on of course, the domestic life of Gambians when it comes to food items, cost of living? Of course, coming from the opposition, you might see it differently, but internally, they might see it as they are doing well. Just a few months ago, rice went down a little bit, which is not something very common. So it's something that they feel it was something that they can celebrate. So what's your view on the cost of living, and what would you have done if you were the Minister of Trade?
I don't want to be Minister of Trade in this country.
Why?
The things that need to be done cannot be done under the current setup. And I say this with a large dose of humility. When it comes to cost of living, I think there is no question in anybody's minds that in the last 3 years have been exceptionally difficult for average Gambians to eat 3 square meals. Once we agree on that principle, we can talk about the causes of why the cost of living moved from just being a problem to a crisis. We've said, and we keep saying, we'll continue saying, that our currency is very weak. The dollar is very weak.
Yes.
The dollar is weak. And you will not know the weakness of the dollar until you go to our rural areas and the lumos and you start engaging in trade. Or you just want to exchange dollars for CFA. You see an exponential increase.
Yeah, $640 for the 5,000 CFA.
Make no mistake, that is connected to our ability to buy goods and services.
Yes.
It does. Secondly, the manufacturing sector is almost dead. We are not producing anything. If you don't produce anything, you cannot sell on the international market. If you don't sell on the international market, you cannot earn foreign exchange. If you cannot earn foreign exchange, you have to go out and borrow that foreign exchange. And that is why we have this bloated public debt portfolio that we have. Our debt portfolio stands at about $150 billion now.
Wow.
$150 billion.
Wow.
In 32 years, Jawara contracted $3.67 billion worth of loans. 3.6 billion.
Right.
In 22 years, Yahya Jammeh contracted $46 billion in loans.
Wow.
In Barrow's 8 years, he contracted $101 billion in loans. That's what brought the total to about $150 billion. But this is what we know. Now, if you look at next door Senegal, when Macky Sall left the scene, all of a sudden, $7 billion worth of unannounced loans were discovered by the new government.
Wow.
$7 billion. So this $150 billion for us does not include the hidden loans that are being signed that we don't know about.
Wow.
Now, and that strikes back at the same transparency issue that we've started with. So you have that loan portfolio, and you are trying to manage an economy that's the structure of which is 3 things. The structure of our economy is 3 things. It's loans, it is taxes, and it is grants. No country develops using that as a model. You cannot develop by borrowing, you cannot develop by taxing, you cannot develop by begging. Grants is just begging.
Okay.
You have to have an economic structure that actually produces quality goods and services that you can market, that you can earn foreign exchange from, that you can reinvest in your development. You cannot depend on just loans. And this is one of our biggest issues with this government. They are signing too many loans. And we are not saying don't sign loans, but they are signing too many of them. And when you look at the Auditor General's reports,
right,
there is corruption everywhere.
But the most recent one is saying that some things might be put now at a very safe and, of course, transparent pedestal. Now, Sasise, of course, we'll soon go for a short break, but then before that, let me just quickly put this to you. I just wanted to identify one or two major areas that the government is failing in, because by way of conversing, they are also listening and they are watching this show.
Yes, they...
What would you tell them that this is wrong and this is what I think should be the solution to that?
First of all, our governance framework needs to change. And the way that can change is to bring back that constitution.
The 2020
constitution.
Okay.
With all its imperfections. The UDP, the government, NPP, DOI, and all of them can sit in a room, look at that constitution, and say, we agree that A needs to go, A needs to come in. You send it to the National Assembly. The governance framework is wrong.
Okay.
Because the governance framework is wrong, it has an impact on the president's reforms agenda.
Yes. Okay.
It has a serious impact, and the impact is not positive. It's negative impact on the president's reforms agenda.
Right.
This is why we are unable to do key economic reform measures. And those reform measures, macroeconomic framework needs to be tweaked so that you have a fiscal and monetary policy that is in sync with the international markets movements up and down. Okay?
Okay.
The security sector reforms. Yeah, I see all the time when you talk about that, they say, but we are reforming this, we are reforming. No. What we are saying is that the elements that oppressed and suppressed Gambians using the 1997 Constitution are still the same individuals running this security reform.
Like? That's very interesting.
Look at I hate to name these names, but look at where Fabakary Tombong is. Look at where Sidi Njai is.
Okay.
These are people who actually precipitated the impasse.
Okay.
Now, they are actually there to protect us using a constitution that is a dictator's constitution.
Okay, I hear you. That
so,
makes...
economic reforms, out. Macroeconomic, out. Security sector reform. In fact, if we do proper security reforms, it should be done in such a way that our security sector has some of the most top-notch individuals in this country.
Absolutely, because I have very high regard for the people in the security sector.
Yes.
In fact, some of whom are even retired but still serving indirectly by trying to support. They are intellectuals and they've got very strong background when it comes to security. However, we've always heard this from people that do not support UDP, that UDP is the problem.
Well, UDP cannot be the problem. We are not the government, I'm sorry to say. We are not the government. We are the problem to some people because we are antithetical to corruption.
Okay.
We are antithetical to the kind of behavior that we see. We are a party that says peace, security, and prosperity.
Okay.
Now, if anybody thinks UDP is the problem, they have a problem. Because we are not the government. If we were in the government and they say UDP is the problem, we have to come out with a plausible explanation.
Okay.
In this case, I cannot come up with a plausible explanation because we are not the government.
Okay.
Blame where the blame ought to go.
All right, thank you very much, our viewers. We do thank you for being part and parcel of this conversation, and we are so much honored to host you, Mr. Larry MCC. We will just go for a short break, and we will be right back and then continue this conversation with a different perspective. Thank you for being part of the Fix So. Thank you very much. Like I said in my introduction, today we are hosting Mr. Larry Mcc, a well-known, of course, international staff who's gone around the Africa, the globe, obviously, West Africa, the Gambia as well. And as a Gambian and a citizen of this country, he's played a part in some other countries. And then Mr. Cisse is very much okay with the political atmosphere of this country. Mr. Cisse, it has been said quite often that we have issues to an inter-party level. There's also somebody who is a renowned politician who said that no single party would win elections in this country anymore as long as the multi-party system is existing in this country. By way of having people franchising last few months ago, and a lot of you people, a lot of the UDP, some of whom have gone, we've seen the likes of the young people like Taliban's team coming out of the UDP, other people forming their part out of UDP. This integration of the UDP, don't you think that gives the incumbents much more power to stay in power longer? Vis-a-vis, he is also very much interested, and we can see him being the flag bearer for the National People's Party to go on election for, well, people call it third term, others call it the second term. What's your view of the stay of the flag bearer of the UDP since 1996? Trying to tell somebody who is also trying to go for a second or third term and just been there for 10 years?
You know, this is the misnomer we have in the Gambia's political milieu, where we always mix oranges with apples. Who says UDP has disintegrated because some people have left?
Does somebody sat here and defended that?
Yes, politics is about that. Some will come, some will go.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that the world is coming to an end. Depending on who you are, if you are the one leaving, you think you are disintegrating the thing.
Okay.
If you are the one who is being accused of disintegrating, you see some departures as a strength. So let's not go there.
Okay.
Now, the issue of third term, second term. Let's be honest, Mr. Jallo. President Barrow, this is his 10th year as president. Do I want to vote for the same person 3 times? No. I want to vote for somebody once, maximum twice. The third time, I want to see somebody else that I can vote for. Now, when you juxtapose that to your argument on UDP, specifically, let's be brutal. Specifically, Ousseynou being head of UDP for 30 years. Has Ousseynou won an election?
No.
He hasn't. And for those of you who don't recall, the entire international community called the 1996 election as a sham election.
That was the overview?
Yes.
Okay.
As a sham election. So here is somebody who fought for a dictatorship to end, and we know how that dictatorship had worked. And for 3 elections, those elections were rigged and stolen.
Do you have evidence, you guys?
There is no issue about evidence, my brother. You know, those of you who say, do you have evidence? You forget that the 2021 election presented the same opportunity to us. And unlike the other elections, with the 2021 election, there was incontrovertible evidence that the election was rigged. How? We submitted a petition to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court did not look at that petition on the merits of the law and what is in it.
What's your argument?
They threw it out. No, they said it themselves. They threw it out based on a technicality.
Okay.
And what was the technicality? You haven't given the paperwork, the summons paper, to the president directly.
It was about service. That was not.
Yes.
Done.
So how do you serve a sitting president a court document? We were directed, take it to the chief of protocol. It was taken to the chief of protocol. They said the president was not aware of it. But on the morning of the court, the president's lawyers appeared in court.
Okay.
How did he know?
Okay. Okay. All right. I hear you.
So you know, what we are saying is that the president has served 5 years before, got re-elected in, according to him, in 2021, and he's going on to his third term. He has done 2 terms. He's going on to his third.
By 2026,
no, because
elections is on the 5th of December.
Yes, because we laugh about this thing, but honestly, when you look at the substance of why the 2020 constitution was thrown out, the substance of it was the president and his team's objection of the retroactivity clause.
Right.
So if you serve 5 years, you cannot tell people, no, I haven't served 5 years. I have served three.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
Okay.
So we are saying the president has done well doing 2 terms. It's now time for him to go. He shouldn't be there for 3 terms. And I think if he is reliant on good substantive advice, that good substantive advice should tell him, drop it, don't do it.
But Gambians are still saying he should.
Which Gambian?
Well, people around him.
Yes, people around him are saying he should. People like us are saying he shouldn't. So you guys who are in the 4th estate, the ball is in your court. So you tell people where your positions are on this issue. But I'm saying, honestly, when you look at it globally, when you do 5 years, you do 10 years, you want to go 15, and there are serious corruption issues being in the public domain. Honestly, a smart person would say, no, I don't want to be prolonging this thing. I want to rest, and when I rest, I want to rest peacefully. In his case, he rests by either going to Mankamankunda or one of his properties. You don't have to put yourself through these whims of I need to be there.
Yeah, but he also said one time in an interview that he would like to see his party strong enough before he leaves.
Yeah, because he knows when he leaves, his party dies.
That's what you believe?
That's what he said.
But that's what he said.
That's what he said.
He's nurturing it to be strong. That doesn't necessarily mean.
That's what he said.
Okay.
That's what he said in Brikama at the rally there.
Right.
If he does not become the flag bearer of NPP, NPP dies. He said that.
Okay. Now
so we have no issues with that. That is his internal mechanics.
Right.
What we have issues with is that position is antithetical to the national interest.
Okay.
That's all we are saying.
Now, so the other part I would ask here is, UDP, do you think UDP will be the flag bearer next time? Considering that I have heard a slogan coming from the UDP, and whoever wants to come to be part of a coalition with the UDP don't have to think about going to primaries, because the flag bearer must be the powerful UDP.
You know, you either live by the sword or you die by the sword. Okay. This coalition thing, we've been burnt on it before. You remember Ndam?
Yes, I remember Ndam very well. Lamin Wajuara.
Yes. What happened in Ndam, in that convention?
Absolutely.
Small parties ganged up on UDP and they became the flag bearer.
Right.
Then 2020 came. When
2016 before that, in fact, there was a coalition as well.
Yes,
because current president came from the UDP.
What I'm saying is, he did not contest as a UDP flag bearer.
Yes, I agree. He contested because he had to resign.
Yeah, you know, when I was coming, I was looking at the history of this, and I went into my library and I saw the president's resignation letter from UDP.
Yes, he did. That was
he
public.
Resigned.
Yes, that was public.
So when people say he is from UDP, yes, he was a UDP member, but he resigned in order to contest as the coalition flag bearer.
But that was judicious. That's why it was based on the laws of the...
Yes, but let's respect that.
Yes.
Instead of saying he's from UDP, yes, he was a UDP member, but the real thing is he resigned.
I like the technicality part of it.
Yes.
Because yes, he was UDP, but at the time when he became the president or went to election,
yes,
he was no longer
he was no longer
UDP.
And when he became president, he wasn't a UDP-led president.
No, but the base power behind him was the UDP.
Oh, so now you guys realize the base power behind him was UDP.
Because then they were with other parties as well.
But then that throws out your argument from your other guys to say, why should it not be UDP? Because if the power behind him to become president is UDP, that same power is there today. It's even stronger.
Well, I had Lamin Mane seated on this chair. I asked him the question, and I said, people are leaving UDP, is going to weak UDP. He said, one person leaves, 7 people come, and so he gave me a point. All right. So how strong is UDP today?
UDP is very strong.
Nationally? All over, in every region?
UDP is very strong. Now, in politics, you have to look at your strategy from a very brutally honest perspective. You know this last
Cyprus view, yes. I heard, I was going to ask you about that.
Cyprus poll.
Yes.
It shows conclusively that the president's strengths are in URR, CRR North, CRR South, and somewhat LRR.
But they still gave him the winning flag.
No.
Winning ticket, of course.
Perception-wise.
Yes, absolutely.
Perception-wise.
Yes,
perception is not reality.
Well, not all the time.
Perception is not reality. The point I'm trying to make is that UDP has regenerated itself. A lot of people don't understand that since 2020, UDP has morphed into a knowledge party. We do not argue for argument's sake. We bring knowledge and experience into the argument. And the party has been morphed from the village, ward, constituency, and national levels. We have some very sharp young people. When they talk, you know these guys are making sense. That is the kind of reform that went into UDP. And I know this because I don't hold an appointive position in the party.
You are not a member of the executive?
No.
Okay.
I'm not a member of the NEC. I'm not a member of the Central Committee. But I have been appointed chairman of the party's policy committee. Okay. And some of the work that we do, you are seeing it all over. When we go to platforms.
I am very good at saying I have not seen what UDP has done here. I am very good at saying that.
Yes, you are good at saying that, and it's not just you.
Okay.
But what you are missing, UDP is not in power. You haven't voted for UDP.
No.
You are not paying your taxes to UDP.
True.
So how do you expect UDP to do something?
But we've seen parties like GDC that goes around giving boreholes, doing scholarships.
Do you know how many boreholes I have given out?
I don't know.
I don't announce them. And I know Senator Dabo doesn't announce them. Lamane doesn't announce them. We give boreholes. We fence gardens. We give solar lights. But we are not the ruling party. And anybody who actually sits and argues that an opposition party ought to bring development into a community, you are missing the point, or you are being totally disingenuous. The person you pay your taxes to should be the person you should hold accountable for your development, for providing you with your basic social services.
No, they're just giving up the mentality, one that gives you breakfast and lunch. If they promise you dinner, you believe it.
It's an argument that we've had all too often, and it's a lame argument.
Okay.
The argument doesn't stand in the face of asking the question, am I your government? No, I'm not your government.
No.
Are you paying your taxes to me?
No.
You are not paying your taxes to me. If I'm not your government, you are not paying your taxes to me, where do you expect me to get the money to develop you? This personal stuff, we do. But UDP, we do not go into the public domain like I stand here and tell you, oh, I did a borehole there, I did a borehole there. But your listeners, some of them, will hear me, and they will know in some places where there is no even support, they never supported UDP. I had a situation where there is a small village in Upper Fuladu. Now, one of their children was schooled in our compound in Kudang. I did a borehole in Angalfuta.
In Angalfuta, yes. In Angalfuta.
I did 2 others in Kudang proper, one at the primary school, one at the secondary school. She came to me and said, Uncle Larry, we need a borehole in our village. I said, okay. I said, but you know, that should be government. He says, no, so-and-so has promised us boreholes. Okay. All these years, it has never materialized. Government hasn't materialized. He says, and just this year alone, 3 women have died.
SubhanAllah.
Who were pregnant, lactating women. Because they travel 7 kilometers from the village to where they can access clean water.
Wow.
So I put her in the car, went with 3 people. We went there, we measured, talked to the village alcalo, the women's leadership, the youth leadership, and the ministry. And basically the village agreed on a location because I didn't want it to be personalized.
No, it will be, if you do it, yes. It's not going to be.
I didn't want it to be personalized.
Right.
So we put a borehole there.
Right.
And then when they realized that it also needs, there is no electricity, it also needs solar.
Solar, yeah.
We put up 12 solar panels.
Wow.
To run it. And it's still on my maintenance scale. When I maintain my boreholes, I still go there and
That's splendid. Uncle Larry, we are actually running out of time. And it's such a pleasure to have you. And things that you are saying is actually resonating with a lot of Gambians. Of recent, we've seen a lot of young people. This is in the conclusion part of our conversation. Embarking on this back way. I have been a victim. I don't know where my daughter is right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so whether the boat is
gone
or not, and I don't know where she is.
Sad.
Yeah, and you've seen me do a lot of write-up in these things because I am on the papers at least every day for different things. Now, putting together the government as an umbrella institution, putting together the Ministry of Works. When I say works, it has to actually partner with the, of course, trade. Then you have the Ministry of Youth and Sports. If you see yourself as an advisor to those ministries, as a Gambian, not even as a political party militant or anything.
Not just as a Gambian.
As a Gambian, what will you tell them? Because we are looking at solution and the show is called The Fix. How would you address these issues by telling them what steps they should take?
You know, Mr. Jallo, it is not rocket science that if the government made youth employment as a priority, it could actually make it possible for our youths to have an option other than going through the back way by creating a youth development, youth investment, or whatever fund you may want to call it. That opens up access for youths to have resources, training, skills, to live a life that is decent, that is not perilous as going through the back door.
Yes.
The separate perception. 62% of Gambians feel the president hasn't delivered on his youth employment promise. Why?
Yes.
Because we are back to where we started. He has given priority to infrastructure. And even infrastructure, he has given priority to roads.
Okay.
Rather than balancing it out, you do a situation where a good proportion, because we are signatories to the Maputo
Convention
framework.
Yeah.
We should spend at least 30% of our GDP on agriculture.
Okay.
At least. Now, if you balance agriculture, education, health, youth employment, you are cut and dry. Our budget investments in these sectors is weak.
So you really would tell them to look at how they can invest more into the youth-led initiative projects. Of course, they justify it with having of course, these projects, community, TVET and others. I've just run out of time. I just want you to use this opportunity as an exit. Speak to the Gambians, tell them what your view is. In conclusion, we do thank you for coming to the show today, and we hope to have you again and to talk about much more.
I have to come back.
Definitely.
I have to come back. What I can tell the Gambians is that this is 2026. Some of the issues we are seized with shouldn't be issues at all in our political discourse. We need to have free, fair, transparent elections. In order for us to have free, fair, transparent elections, only Gambians should elect their electable leaders. Only Gambians. Now, if Gambians don't elect who they want to lead them, you have a situation where somebody is elected whose legitimacy is questioned. You don't want an election at the end of which someone's legitimacy is questioned. I think it's the worst thing a political system can have. Democracies thrive on free, fair, transparent elections. We need to have that. The second thing we need to have, you say you listened to me on Coffee Time the other day. I keep saying it in all the platforms that I have gone to say we need to have a serious national conversation on tribalism and ethnic politics. Why do I say that? Tribalism has been injected into our politics. Money has been injected in our politics. And it's most unfortunate that in 2026, Gambians, we talk about tribe rather than country. And we talk about so-and-so belongs to my tribe rather than so-and-so can bring this kind of experience and education into my milieu. Why do I say that? My paternal grandmother is a Fula. You know that.
I know. I know that.
You know that.
Yes.
Now, all of us are the grandchildren of a Fula woman from Futa.
Yes.
Now, who can look at me and say, I don't like Fulas?
It doesn't exist.
There was a time I don't even speak Mandinka because my grandmother, whenever you, it's all Fula. You are aware. When you talk to her, she will tell you, Minanta Shebe. Yes. But he will respond to you because he understood what you are saying.
Yes.
It's just something that he inculcated in all of us.
Right, right.
Now, we need to take this tribalism and throw it out the window and try to give opportunities to people who can take us out of the mess that we are in, because it's a mess.
Right.
When you have a loan portfolio of 150 million, 150 billion
yes.
Dollars is in loans that you know, and you look at the Auditor General's reports in composite, the kind of corruption that we are seeing here is pulling this country down.
Okay.
That money has to be invested to make your life, my life, your daughter's life better. And I hope to God that your daughter is safe somewhere out there. Because it didn't have to happen.
Right.
If we had invested properly in her upkeep.
Right, right. Well, we thank you so much, Larry MCC, for having you today at Teledal on the Fix Show. It's been a very fruitful conversation. We are so much honored to host you here, and we look forward to having you sometime very soon again, where we will really dilate more of these issues that have been brought up. We are so much grateful for people that are following us on the diaspora, those at home on our social media handles, the management team of Teledal, of course, and everybody that's been part and parcel of the show today. We look forward to having another episode next week, Friday. Have a nice weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.